Shelter-in-place, self-quarantine, social distance order April 6th in New Hampshire. I did a survey of my land yesterday to find a good spot to plant a garden if the state, of course, lets me buy seeds and proper tools to plant a garden. But I did manage to locate a snake den. I found a tree that apparently 20, 30 snakes that I could see were hanging out in and around, and they're just slithering all over each other. And so I guess we got to move. All right. Well, I did actually find a snake den, but we're not moving. It's a bunch of garter snakes. They just are all together, and it's pretty cool, and the kids are going to love it. And so, yeah, that's where we're at right now. I thought it'd be fun to just do a quick response to one of my own videos. This is a video that I did in March 18th. This was the week after Trump declared a state of emergency in the United States. That's kind of when things started to really turn around. People were starting to really take coronavirus seriously. That's when the fear was being pumped consistently. Before that, if you remember, all of our experts that we're supposed to be listening to uncritically, all of our experts that know exactly what to do now, before that time, all of those same experts were saying things like, it's just the flu. The coronavirus doesn't really pose that much of a threat for the United States. All those same experts have changed their tune, but they got it right now. That's for sure. They got it right now, so definitely listen to them. But I thought it would be interesting to see what I was saying about a month ago, a little less than a month ago, 3 weeks ago, what I was saying then and what I think now, because, we'll see. Maybe there's been some movement on my side. So I don't know if we'll do the whole video. Probably not. It's 11 minutes long, but let's just see what I said back on March 18th about the COVID. I just checked my temperature, and I'm still kind of hovering right around 97 degrees. I still am, for that matter. I'm pretty much 97 degrees no matter what. All right, we're going to talk about the coronavirus. There's really nothing else to talk about right now. I just noticed a little piece of movement. I used to call it the coronavirus. I never called it COVID. I don't think I ever will. Unless I'm trying to be ironic or funny or something. But I like to call it the Rona now. The Rona. That's, I don't want to get the Rona. I think that's the way to do it. Call it the Rona. That's about where we're at. I wanted to mention kind of two things about it that I just found very interesting, and just some theories that I have about what's going on. Have you noticed a lot of conflicting information? I mean, that's definitely happening. I've seen all kinds of people notice this thing. In fact, there's one of my favorites, Bradley Mason. He tweeted this out yesterday or 2 days ago. He said, nearly, if not all COVID reporting is partisan trash. We are not being served as a people by this BS. It's so frustrating. I responded to him and I said, yeah, I have noticed that, and I've noticed it even more so in the last few weeks. There's a lot of conflicting information. I actually tweeted out a video from Lionel. If you guys know Lionel Nation, he's hilarious. Lionel Nation is hilarious. He's a little bit, you might say he's in the conspiracy mindset, but he's actually a very level-headed conspiracy theorist. And he has a theory about why you're getting so much conflicting information. Do you wear the mask? Do you not wear the mask? Does the mask work or does it not work? Is it for you or is it for other people? Do the doctors need it or we don't even need the mask? Like, why is that every other day you get information that's different? Sometimes we need the mask, sometimes we don't need the mask. What's the deal? Why is that? Why are they doing this? And he's got a theory about why they do that. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, there's so much conflicting information, but we're always expected to obey the experts. They know best, even though not only do they disagree with each other, but they also disagree with themselves a few weeks ago, kind of thing. And so I find that to be very, very interesting. Also, because of this, nobody knows what to believe. Also, let's never agree on anything again, because me and Bradley agree on very little when it comes to controversial things. And Bradley responded with a fair ha-ha. You see, coronavirus is bringing us all together. I think the coronavirus is bringing us all together. There's a lot of fighting going on, but that's not uncommon. There's a lot of fighting going on all the time. And the fights are different now. Like, a lot of us haven't been fighting the social justice progressives anymore because, who cares? We've got the Rona. We got to talk about the Rona. A lot of the fighting is in between like conservative circles and stuff like that, which I don't have a problem with. A lot of people are very discouraged by it and stuff like that, and I get it. I'm not. I'm not. I like hashing things out with people that disagree with me on things. But yeah, the Rona. I mean, that's what we're talking about now. One other thing I wanted to mention. This is very interesting. Lots of organizations are not covering Trump's press conferences anymore, which I find to be absolutely amazing. What possible reason could there be, a legitimate reason, for a news organization to not, that a news organization that's desperate for Rona coverage to not cover the president's daily briefings on the Rona? That's interesting. I think you all need to think about what that could mean. It really is. And I got to say, Bradley, stay safe out there. Stay healthy, my friend. I don't know if you'd consider me a friend, but I like you. And I think didn't I make a video about how I liked you? Whatever. Who cares? Anyway. But yeah, this is a problem. This is the big problem with fake news. Yes. When you read fake news so often, you're at the point now you don't even know what to believe. And you've got some doctors that are saying that this is the tragedy of epic proportions. It's a tsunami. The hospitals are going to be overwhelmed. Everything's going crazy. So this is interesting because this is before it came out that the models were all wrong. The experts' models were all wrong. In fact, they started walking their models back. I made this prediction or this analysis before that. So we're hearing some doctors say, the hospital's going to be overrun. It's going to be 2 weeks. How many weeks have we been hearing it's going to be in 2 weeks? We've been hearing that for the last month or more. And it just turns out that it just hasn't come to fruition. And it's just very interesting. I mean, they want to pump this fear, and it's not coming to fruition, but they're still pumping it, and we're still buying it. And the reality is, like, back then on March 18th, I made this comment. Well, fake news has been. We all knew the news was fake up until the Rona. Now the news is real, even though it's demonstrably fake so often, even now with the Rona coverage. And it's like, why are we swallowing this? Why are we just like, I guess that they have our best interests in mind now. It's all real. It's all real. We don't even know what's going on. It's just amazing how much information we don't have about the Rona. We see these. It's like, I was talking to my wife about this last night, and it's just the news media gives us information that is completely unuseful for any thinking person. They give us information that is completely unuseful because it's incomplete from every thinking person. Let me give you an example. So they give you the big, scary red number that talks about how many confirmed cases we have in the United States, right? How many confirmed cases, and it's going up. Everyone's like, it's the exponential curve. It's the death. It's coming, the exponential death. And it's like everyone's terrified of that. But the thing is, like, we have no idea what that number means. Okay, like, let's think about this rationally for a moment. Let's say that we got the confirmed cases. This is exponential death, okay? But let's just say that the number of tests, because this is not readily given to you. You can find this information, but you gotta hunt for it. Nobody's gonna tell you this just in a straight up kind of way. The exponential death curve is over here, but yet the testing curve, we've tested a bazillion more people than we used to. And so if we're testing this many more people, obviously we're going to have more confirmed cases, right? So it looks like this, but it really could be like this because the testing could be off the charts. Has anybody told you about that? Anyone given you that information? Okay, we've done 13 bazillion tests, and we have 300 confirmed cases. That would be a much different message than hearing, we have 300 confirmed cases. Yesterday we had 200. It's just a different. We need more information. Confirmed cases. I said this weeks ago. Confirmed cases is a worthless number without having more information. We need much more information to know what that means. There's another number that doesn't really mean much in isolation. That's the death totals. And you might be saying, AD, how heartless can you be? Don't you want to know who's dying and how much you should be lamenting? And yes, it's important. But the number in isolation, the death totals that we've been seeing, that have been the exponential death curve, without more information, we don't really know what to make of that. I mean, I guess it's nice to know, but we don't know what to make of that. Let me give you a perfect example. Somebody dies of COVID, right? we don't know really what that means. Did they die out of nowhere with COVID? They were healthy and all this stuff, and they got the COVID and they died. That's very different than COVID spreading throughout a nursing center that has palliative care, which, as far as I understand it, palliative care means that when we don't know, we don't have anything else we can do for you, we just want to keep you comfortable. You're going to die soon, and we're just going to keep you comfortable. If coronavirus were to go into one of those homes and kill 20 people, that's a very different thing. It's sad, yes, but coronavirus didn't kill those people. They were on death's door anyway. But that's a corona death now. And that's not even like the worst one. I've seen a lot of corona deaths that have been demonstrably not corona. And it's like, well, they count for corona deaths now. And the standards for what counts as a corona death are very, very fuzzy. They're fuzzy. And so the death number, it's put in big red letters. It's meant to scare you, but we don't know what that number means. We can't action off that number because, there's a very, very big difference between someone who's perfectly healthy, catches the Rona, and passes away. That's very sad. And someone who's on death's door anyway, dies, and then it turns out they were corona positive. They're both going to be corona deaths, and they're both very different. What percentage of corona deaths that we've had in the world, or even in just the United States, what percentage of corona deaths were that kind of death? Which is sad. Every death is sad, but it means something very different for regular people who are just trying to figure out what to do right now than a corona death where someone was perfectly healthy, they caught the Rona, and they passed away. I mean, again, all death is sad, but those two deaths, when it comes to what we do as a country to combat the Rona, they're very different. They're very different. And so these numbers, how many news organizations have you seen that have put out those numbers in an easily accessible way on their main reports? No, they just give you the big scary red number out of context with no possible information that could actually help you know what that number means, and expect you to get super scared. And it's working. It's working. Everyone's terrified. And it's just really, really amazing. And then you've got some doctors that are saying, look, guys, let's remember, this is a mild disease in most cases. This is not as contagious as the flu. The virus is not as quote-unquote smart. There's an article I read from one of the. Not only are doctors saying that, but they're also saying stuff like, and these are not like lightweights. These are doctors that have developed vaccines for other viruses that study this stuff all the time. There are all kinds of doctors telling you things that you haven't heard. You haven't heard. You know why you haven't heard them? Because when you post them on Twitter and Facebook, they get censored immediately because it's off message. It's like, okay, we should take it seriously, but we should take it seriously like we take all viruses. It doesn't mean that you close the economy down for months and weeks at a time. That's ridiculous. And if you say that, that's off message, that gets canceled. And that's a very interesting thing that we've been noticing. If you haven't heard a real doctor, an expert in virology or vaccines or diseases that has given you a message besides the main one that Fauci is saying, well, it's going to be death everywhere, death, it's just all death and fear and anger. If you haven't heard a doctor that's giving you a different message, it's not because they don't exist. It's because they've been canceled. And so you got to go hunting for it. You know what I mean? Like, and why is that? Why does the media make you hunt for things that are maybe a little bit off message? That's just absolutely amazing. Let's move on a little bit. And then you're going to have people in between that just want everyone to kind of weigh out these risks. The reality is that as it stands right now, if you look at influenza numbers, the reality is that there's a lot of flu out there, and it's a very dangerous disease as well, and nobody grinds economies to a halt for flu. Now, this is not the flu. This is different, and they might say it's worse. Okay, fine, but we have to measure these responses out because the damage that's being done economically is, I don't know if it's reversible, to be honest. I mean, it certainly is reversible to a certain degree, but that sounds like I've been pretty consistent over the last few weeks. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the economy as well, and Russell Moore, who say, well, economy is less important than lives, and it's just like, it's just so short-sighted, and it really just it doesn't. It's self-centered, short-sighted, and it doesn't really seem to show any regard for lesser economies than the United States. Because here's the thing, guys, like this economy can shut down for a few months, and it's going to affect me, of course, but I'm not going to be on death's door at the end of the 3 months because of the economy. I'm not. I can weather some economic storms. There's certain storms I can't weather, but there's certain ones that I can. But you think about places like Ethiopia, for example. That's a place that I've visited 3-4 times in my life. Ethiopia's economy is one of the best ones in Africa, but it's really fragile. Really fragile. I read a statistic the other day, or earlier today rather, that said that some of these African countries, like over 50% of their GDP is like the non-traditional, like kind of street vendors type thing. And Africa doesn't produce a lot, and so they rely on imports, and they rely on that kind of stuff to import and sell on the streets kind of thing. And these are the people that are going to die because of the economy shutting down. These are the people that are going to suffer the most. And so you got to wonder, like, why are the proclamations you're getting from ERLC, Russell Moore, Gospel Coalition types that piously tell you the economy is not as important as lives? Why aren't they thinking about those people? Why aren't they thinking about those people? They live hand to mouth. You know what I mean? They live hand to mouth. They sell things in the streets, and if the economy in China grinds to a halt, or the economy in the United States grinds to a halt, their lives are literally in danger, way more than they are right now, and people will die in Uganda and Nigeria and Ethiopia and Eritrea. People are going to die in those countries because of the economic chaos that we are inflicting upon ourselves and everybody else. That's a real problem. That's a real problem, and you got to wonder, why is it that you're not hearing that kind of thing from ERLC, Gospel Coalition, Russell Moore? They have to know about this, right? You would think if they're going to make proclamations on the economy that they'd have to be experts, right? Because that's what we're hearing. You got to be an expert. I don't know. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Rona every day this week. That's for sure. We're definitely not going to talk about Rona every day this week. But I remain, to this point, very suspicious of the official stories that I'm hearing right now. Extremely suspicious. And I think that it only stands to reason, especially when you're getting so much conflicting information, that you would have a lot of suspicion for the stories that you're being told. Because, you know, one day the masks work, one day the masks don't work. Like, what am I supposed to do? And so I'm not saying that you have to disbelieve every story that you hear about the Rona, but let's just take this with tremendous grains of salt, and let's just apply some just regular logic to some of this stuff. Why aren't you getting the number of tests and how that's exponentially increased, probably a lot more than the amount of confirmed cases that we have? Why aren't you getting that number? Because that would actually change the story a little bit. It'd give you a little bit of hope. Why aren't you hearing about corona deaths versus real corona deaths versus deaths with Rona and stuff like that? Like, why aren't you hearing? Why isn't that an easily accessible number? Why instead are you getting that big red scary number that goes exponential death, and that's all you're getting, and you have no context for what that means? Why is that? Why is that? This is not about conspiracy theories. This is just about calling it what it is. It's nonsense. It's nonsense when you give me the death totals and you put no context there. It's nonsense when you give me the confirmed cases number and you put no context to it. It's nonsense. And then these same media organizations are like, oh, well, we've officially passed China's confirmed cases number. And it's like, are you guys really this stupid? Yeah. China's confirmed cases number, yeah. That number is worthless. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it, but you're somehow forgetting your logic there and say, oh yeah, well, America must be much worse at containing this than China, much worse. Well, we got to take our cue from the WHO, right? The World Health Organization, right? Because they say that there was no human-to-human transition, no evidence of it in China. But now, I'm sure now they've got it right, though. Now they've got it right. Now we'd have to just listen to them, I guess. It's just really very interesting to see how this is cognitive. This is what it is, cognitive dissonance. You know the media lies, and yet you have no choice but to believe them. No, you do have a choice. You do have a choice. Stop consenting to insanity. Stop consenting to insanity. It makes no sense to do it. Stop consenting. Stop just swallowing everything they have to feed you, because they lie all the time. You knew that 3 months ago. Let's remember that today when you read the next death, doom and gloom death prediction of the media they've just not come true. They just haven't done it at all yet. None of the predictions have come true. And yet here we are just hanging on their every word. Just pull up the red scary map with the red scary circles. No. Well, let's not do that. You just don't consent. That's how you do it. You just don't consent to it. You call out nonsense for what it is, and you don't believe things that don't make any sense. If something doesn't make any sense, it just doesn't make any sense. It's okay. It could be true. Maybe it just doesn't make sense to you. But if something doesn't make sense, don't pretend like it does. That's how they win. They win by making you so scared to be wrong that you'll believe anything. Listen, if I'm wrong and coronavirus really is the Black Death, I'll say, oh, I was wrong. But you know what? I felt like I was justified in disregarding the media because you know what? You lie all the time. So this time you didn't. I guess shame on me for not just listening. But if you want me to believe you, if you want me to think you're a reliable source, then become one. And then I will. I don't know how helpful this was. It's just a little bit of a rant. I hope you found this video helpful, though. God bless.